Joining us now is Dr. Carlos Gazitua, and he's not only a doctor, he's a business owner in Florida, and he's with us now, part of our series with the Job Creators Network and their campaign to flatten the curve. Go to flattenthecurve.com. Did I say flatten the curve? Flatten the fear. Sorry, Carlos. Let me start over. Part of our Flatten the Fear campaign, go to flattenthefear.com. Dr. Gazitua, thanks for being with us, sir.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I'm not a doctor. I'm an attorney and a business owner, CEO for Sturgis Restaurants. But I appreciate the credentials. But thank you for having us.
You're a doctor of common sense, Carlos. That's
exactly
the main thing. We're talking about we're talking about flattening the curve. Now we're operating on the demand side, and the only way the Democrats get everybody scared again, they got to revamp up the fear that you're going to die if you go outside and have a beer. You own businesses. Tell us about what you're sensing, what your customers are saying about consumer demand now, Carlos, in Florida.
Sure. I mean, we have about 13 different restaurants down here, and particularly South Florida, an area that many thought was going to be affected, just like New York City. That the media was creating all this attention, that there was going to be so much death. I think they said that actually the city of Miami was going to be the next New York City, which never occurred. And I think the thing is that we did down here was we took very, very reasonable precautions. And by doing that and just being able to follow safe protocols down here, we've never been what you saw in the media and the hype. In fact, right now, businesses are trying to open up, but it's actually the things that you see on the news that has caused some consumer not to go out as much as they wanted to. We've been hit so not only with the issues that we've had with COVID-19 in terms of the precaution with the media, but we've seen consumer demand go up. People want to go out. People want to go out and consume. It's just they need businesses to take the leadership to move on. Let's be very clear. Government can't lead us out of this. It's very easy for them to shut us down. But for us to improve the economy, it's going to take leadership from business owners. It's going to take leadership from our consumer to bring the American economy back, which is why JCN, I love their Flatten the Fear, by bringing in prominent physicians, doctors, like you just talked about in the beginning, warning of the negative health consequences of an extended lockdown and the importance of reopening our economy is the new challenge that we have in America. But I think so many people are looking to the government to tell us what to do. They're looking at the government to tell us, how do we get this economy going? And it's not going to be looking out. That's the answer. It's going to be looking within. When we first started this issue with the COVID-19, we didn't know what the mortality rate of COVID-19 was going to be. The mortality rate is under 1%. Now, remember, when we heard about SARS, we thought with coronaviruses like MERS, which has a mortality rate of 35%. We thought of SARS, which has a mortality rate of 11%. Right now, the mortality rate is less than 1, unless you're over 80. Then you're talking about 15%. So this information that we've seen and have the data, we can now make proper decisions to go out and actually start spending as 4th of July comes up. Let's celebrate our freedom by choosing to be safe, choosing to wash our hands, come out, and actually spend money in your local economy, because there's a lot of businesses right now that won't survive. I know as a restaurant owner, I can tell you, coming into this, 1 out of 4 restaurants wouldn't survive with the pandemic. Now with the new PPP loan guidelines that, thank God they extended to 24 weeks, we have a little bit longer lifeline. But if the consumer does not go out and spend, if the consumer does not go out and actually engage in society, you're talking about a 15% survival rate.
Well, and that means 85% of businesses go out of business, and 85% of restaurants, all those jobs that go with it, and there's so many jobs that are attached to it. Also, less consumer options, right? I mean, when I go out to dinner, you like to have a lot of options, Carlos, and now you don't. But I want to get back to your numbers when we talk about flatten the fear. And by the way, go to flattenthefear.com, flattenthefear.com, because now we're fighting the fake news. And Carlos, they're going to ramp up again, right? The fake news is going to ramp up again now that the protests are ebbing a little bit. They're going to ramp it up, and they have to restir the fear because this is politics. But I've been saying it for 3 months. Their goal is to crash the economy, to beat Trump, justify a mail-in ballot, mail it out to everybody. And so as people are going out and nothing's happening, that whole plan is at risk. Right now, there's a lot of people saying that the lockdown is going to be the biggest mistake made in human history, that it did nothing. But I want to get back to your number. You said that there's less than 1% mortality rate. Those that have COVID die, number one. Number two, over 85 is 15%. So if you take the 1%, Carlos, and you carve out those that are died, mortality, that are over 85, you just carve them out. The under 85 mortality rate of those that got coronavirus and died is less than 1/3 of 1%, or basically on a par with influenza. I mean, why aren't these numbers out there? I mean, if you are 28 today, or 29 or 30 or 35 or 40, and you happen to go somewhere and pump gas and get the virus, your chances of dying from this without underlying causes, your chances of dying are the same as if you get hit by an Amtrak train, which is, I mean, it's 0.1%. So why is not this out there? Why isn't that information available to people, Carlos?
I think that's the whole point of flying the fear with JCN organizations that are trying to put this out there, because I think enough is enough. When I talk to so many small business owners, they're looking at the media and they're saying, well, guess what, guys? We always know that sensation sells, right? They want to have what is the craziest headline that we can create so that people can watch us. So I'm hoping that with small business owners just like myself and others that come out and step out and say, hey, you know what? This is not true. This doesn't work. Here, look at the numbers. Look at the prominent physicians all around the country that are saying this is not true. These are the percent rates where we are for mortality death. It is time to open up, that others will have the confidence to do it. Because remember, it takes leadership during this time. It takes time for our business owners to say, we can no longer do what the government has told us to do. I mean, even Dr. Fauci, when he first came out, said that we could not have extended lockdowns. Remember, the idea was to flatten the curve. It wasn't to create a cure. I mean, we're not working for the drug companies. We're not praying at home for Pfizer to come up with their solution. I mean, are we all going to rely on 3 or 4 companies in the world to make our solutions to provide food for our families, to provide food for our community? You know how many people have taken loans in as a small business that if they don't pay that back, they lose their houses. They lose the opportunity to provide food for their family. If the mortality rate is less than 1% and we use proper hygiene, wash our hands, don't touch our face, use masks, we can give ourselves a lifeline to continue that when they finally find a vaccine, great. But like you said, it is time for us. This is like an individual care. There's not a one-size-fits-all prescription that the media is trying to push on all of us. Every state wasn't like New York City. It's all about.
But Carlos, again, those of us that are looking to extract logic from this discussion, there's no logic because the goal is beat Trump. And the way you beat him is by crashing the economy, putting millions of people out of work, keeping them home from school, being depressed, and they get rid of the incumbent. And also they have to justify mail-in ballots. So, I mean, this is not a political segment for you, but you cannot, there's no logic that goes with any of this. It's a political agenda by the blue Democratic mayors and governors to sink the economy. And by the way, people like yourself, and we're with Carlos Gazitua. He owns 13 restaurants in Florida. He's a business owner. He's an entrepreneur. You're the enemy of the DNC state. Small businesses don't support the Democrats. They don't vote for them. They don't give them any money. So it's like, hey, let's just put you all out of your misery. Let's get your all houses foreclosed, put you in bankruptcy, because we get our money from Amazon or Walmart. Carlos, I hate to be this way, but you can't. There's no rational dialogue here that is going on anymore. When you can have thousands of people, I'm in Washington, D.C. during the week. Saturday we had 30,000 people protesting, shoulder to shoulder to shoulder, no masks. But yet, when the protests were over, I cannot go out of my neighborhood, walk 4 blocks, and get a ham sandwich and sit down or go inside. I have to have it handed to, or dropped off at the curb. I just saw 30,000 people out there. So the logic, Carlos, is gone. I want to ask you, though, about your businesses in Florida and how that's working, what phase you're in, and what your customers are saying when I get back. Quick word from our sponsors. Right back with business owner in Florida, Carlos Gazitua. Go to flattenthefear.com. Brought to you by the Job Creators Network, flattenthefear.com.